coast to coast, direct from Austin. You're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.
From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
There's about 7,300,000,000 people on this planet, and I am the organic response. You are the organic response to this tyranny. I'm not just going to just be programmed by television and think I watch ESPN all day while our own government funds Al-Qaeda and ISIS worldwide and tries to start a war with Russia as they devalue the dollar. I saw them coming after the Second Amendment, taking farmers' property that I knew outside Austin to turn it over to groups to then build on it later under the guise of environmentalism. I got angry. And I'd already studied so much history that I recognized exactly what it was when I saw it. Flaming totalitarian, scientific, anti-human garbage. Scientifically deployed. And you could just see the total preparation for an authoritarianism. As William Binney, the number 4 at the NSA, blew the whistle just last Sunday. In fact, I want to reprint that article. I'm doing a taped interview after. I want to bring it up with the person that's going to be in here after the show with me for a taped interview. Very interesting talk we're going to have. I'm not going to announce it until later. But he said, no, it's a total plan for total social control, for total totalitarianism, total domination. Kept using the word total. Total population control. Totalitarian mentality. I mean, look, bad guys are in control. And they always want world domination, don't they? They're going to make it this time. Why? They've got the NSA. They've got the Predator drones. They've got the social engineering. They've got ESPN. I want to go to your phone calls right now. Margaret, Anonymous, David, Brian, Richard, Joseph, Zach, Matt, Bruce, Bob. We're going to all of you. Margaret, you're the first caller today from North Dakota. Welcome to the airwaves.
Hi, Alex.
Welcome.
I wanted to talk about everything that's going on in Russia and the Ukraine.
Go ahead.
My brother is married to a lady from the Ukraine.
Lucky man.
And her family's all still back there. And I agree with you about a lot of things, but I know a lot about what's going on in the ground in Ukraine. And the people that rose up when this all first started, they rose up to get rid of Yanukovych, I think his name was.
Yeah.
Because he was one of them people that was stealing money out of people's bank accounts. He was also pushing them towards like Russia rule, and they wanted freedom. They wanted what.
Ma'am, I totally get that. The issue is George Soros is capitalizing. I mean, I know all the different parties involved. The West is basically sees themselves as Europeans. Western Ukraine, mainly Catholic. They were pro-Nazi. I'm not saying they're bad people today, but they were allied with the Nazis in World War II. The East is mainly Russians, and historically has been part of Russia. And so both sides have bad past. One of them Stalinist, the other Hitlerian. And the State Department spent $5 billion. I mean, I can play the State Department in a briefing admitting that a few months ago. In fact, we cue that up, saying they spent $5 billion to destabilize Ukraine. So I'm not saying there's not real beefs here. The issue is it's part of a larger destabilization program of the entire world. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I've also heard that the Ukrainian military is the one going over the border into Russia, and that's not true. It's the Russian military from the very beginning has been coming over into the Ukraine.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, the Russians did grab their military base, their gas lines, and any government would do that. And it's only Crimea though. But I mean, you know, we've seen the Ukraine shelling into Russia. So what I'm explaining, ma'am, is it's different perspectives here, but the globalists are behind it, exacerbating it, like it's two cocks in a fight, two roosters. I know the two roosters don't like each other. I get that. But there's a ring with a rooster handler. That's who I'm talking about, see, is who's running the show.
City of Austin tap water versus filtered City of Austin tap water.
I can taste dirt in it.
God knows what's in this.
These people just sampled City of Austin tap water straight from the faucet. Next, we had them try a sample of tap water filtered with the ProPure G2.0 filtration system.
That one is better.
Tastes like nothing.
Yep, I know what good water tastes like. It's good water.
Most tap water contains added substances like fluoride, chlorine, glyphosate, and many others. Studies prove that these substances are linked to an assortment of major health issues, including tooth decay, lowered IQ, and even cancer.
It tastes like you're drinking out of the lake when you're drinking tap water.
The ProPure G2.0 filtration system removes these deadly substances, leaving only fresh-tasting, deliciously clean water.
Okay, this is very tasty.
It's good water.
Refreshing.
It's good.
Go to InfoWarsStore.com today. Use promo code WATER and save 10% off your ProPure purchase. Or call 1-888-253-3139.
KLN, Los Angeles, Clone Radio. We play the songs that sound more like everyone else than anyone else. Clone.
Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. The Republic will rise again when you attempt to take our guns.
I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man.
The answer to 1984 is 1776. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Monday through Friday, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're here with the weekday broadcast live. And back Sundays live. We're live on this Sunday, the 20th day of July. And Senator Feinstein, quote, the U.S. is now at Cold War levels with Russia. So a new Cold War with Russia has turned into a hot war. While Russia has reformed itself and their stock market's up, our stock market's down. And on a global index of freedom, Russia's rising, we're dropping. It's just totally sick. And it's all because the Russians, with other countries, because the Federal Reserve is devaluing the U.S. dollar, are moving away from the dollar. For years, they begged us not to keep destabilizing. People don't want depressions, but the globalists do. Here's RT. Nobel Prize-winning economist Joseph Stiglitz, who's a U.S. citizen and worked in multiple administrations, including Obama, praises the 100 billion BRICS bank created to counter Western dominance. And Joseph Stiglitz has been on the show 5 times. And when he quit in 2002, we got the documents first with Greg Palast of the BBC. We broke him here because the BBC wouldn't let him put him out. They had a D notice to stop it. It was published in newspapers all over the world, one of the biggest stories we ever had at that time. Thousands of pages of documents got released, and it was the bank's plan to create a global depression in the next decade or so to bring the world into world government and how they were going to do it. And Stiglitz, to his credit, came out and said, this is immoral, let's not do it. He claims he didn't leak the documents. But the point is that we need competition. The dollar's being devalued, folks. The elite here are doing it. And then other people are trying to create something new, and so they're threatening war with them. We're going to take your phone calls right now. I'm going to move quickly from David to Brian to Richard to Joseph to Zach, Bruce, Pete, Bob, Anonymous, and others. David in Texas, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex, a long-time listener, first-time caller. Met you briefly at a gun rally in San Antonio. I'm an Army vet. One thing I wanted to bring up that I haven't heard you mention is I read an article the other day stating that the plane downing was actually an attempted assassination on Putin. that he was flying home from the World Cup in Brazil. He knew his coordinates, where he was going to be. And his version of Russian Air Force One looks similar to the Malaysian.
Yeah, in fact, if we type in the headline, Malaysia crash was attempt to kill Putin, it was in state-run media. If you look at his plane, it's white, red, white, and blue stripe. It looks about 95% like the Malaysian 777. It's uncanny. But, I mean, again, that's speculation. No one knows. Only Western media is allowed to speculate. Then it's called, speculation. If I speculate, it's called a conspiracy theory. And, they have the Boston Globe and the New York Times attack me last week on Friday for daring to say, why was it flown through controlled airspace when no other aircraft were allowed to for 2 months? Of course, that's a fact. Yeah, the London Guardian reported on it as well. In fact, scroll up at the top there, and I will give folks the headline so they can look. That's RT. Reports that Putin flew similar route as MH17 presidential airport says hasn't overflown Ukraine for a long time, but the flights were near there, but not in that area. But it does look just like Putin's plane. In fact, it's really uncanny. From the ground, you would think it was the same aircraft. I mean, look at the tail. It's just wow. I know this. Within 2 minutes, the State Department said they thought it was Russia. Within 15 minutes, they said that only Russian missiles could shoot down planes. And every channel within an hour was saying, here's the missile, Russia did it. So that's a little suspicious, too. What does your gut tell you about all this?
The only theory that makes any sense to me, because the Russians wouldn't have any motive to down a commercial airliner. They know that would foster ill will towards them, and it would be counter to their objectives. But it makes total sense that that's controlled airspace. And like you said, it's like finding a dead body in your apartment, and the police already know what the murder weapon is without even looking at the body, immediately. Is kind of the analogy that I'm thinking, where the plane was downed, and then, like you said, within minutes, they're already naming the kind of missile launcher that was used. They said it was a Buk missile launcher. And
then CNN would go, with known former CIA people and generals would go, this is the Buk. It's very scary. It's the only one that can shoot down planes. There's more than 100 known SAM missiles out there. 100 different types. Dozens of countries produce them. But again, it probably was Russia. I mean, they said we're going to shoot down any aircraft that enter this area who are bombing civilian targets, and then NATO just goes, oh, really? We run the air traffic. We're going to direct planes right through there today. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's Lusitania 2.0. What do you think?
Gulf of Tonkin, Pearl Harbor. 9/11, any of a series of false flags, this fits perfectly within that construct, and it's definitely something that's going to lead us to World War III. I was a combat engineer in the Army. I was stationed in Germany. I have several friends. I had a friend in the Army who was an active duty soldier who was from Russia, and I still have communications with him on Facebook. He's back in Russia now. But he agrees with me 100% with my assessment of the overall situation, because he's actually living on the ground in Russia and sees, what the anti-globalism that's there. It's kind of like Russia is now embracing the spirit that this country used to have. It's like Putin is become more American, a traditional American than we are. Than our own president. You understand what I mean? Well,
Alexander Solzhenitsyn had about 170 IQ. He was one of the greatest writers ever, and he endorsed Putin before he died. And the U.S. didn't believe it and sent the ambassador there to have dinner with him. And he was like 88 years old then, riding at his table, and said, listen, it's nationalism. Your New World Order set this up. You put the Bolsheviks in. I've met with the top Russian government. They've decided not to kill all the Russians and go with your eugenics plan. I mean, Solzhenitsyn wrote books that were like my show, okay? And again, so I don't want to say the Russians are getting all their understanding from me. Their anti-communist icon literally sold a bunch of the Russians on, and there's a battle by the old Soviets as well to recreate the Tsarist system under a Soviet communist model again. But there's a battle by libertarians over there, just like there's a battle here. Ron Paul says we shouldn't have war with Russia. And they're reforming and things. They're still not perfect. The West attacking them is pushing Russia into a totalitarianism. So I'm not endorsing Russia. I've never been there.